Scotland is my home, and it is where I've lived all my life. I live in a big town called Kilmarnock on the west of Scotland. Kilmarnock doesn't have the best reputation and was certified as the worst town in Scotland. However though, in the past few years it has recently donned the moniker of most improved town. Despite this reputation, I still love living in Kilmarnock, and I think to me that sums up what it is to be Scottish, and that is loving what you have no matter what. It doesn't matter what hand you've been dealt, it is yours. The people in Scotland have a real sense of community when it comes to that. I've seen people avoiding getting into fights just because of where they come from. To Scottish people, where you come from can really define who you are. This is from the posh in Edinburgh to the rough in Glasgow. One of the things that I love about Scotland is the culture, and more specifically how it can change between towns and cities. Another thing is the landscapes, completely breathtaking and beautiful but harsh at the same time. However, as much as I love Scotland, I'm somewhat desperate to leave it. So why? I've always seen Scotland, despite its qualities, to be somewhat lacking of opportunity. And you can see the reasoning behind this is that I'm looking to pursue a career in film. And the prime place to be for that obviously is in America. However, I feel that I am from a generation of people that see the only way to progress in life is to move away from home or fly away from the nest. This is where things get contradictory. In terms of that, I mentioned that Scottish people can be somewhat defined by where they are from, and that can be seen as a defining characteristic of Scottish people. However, I feel that Scottish people are so concerned with where they are from and what that means to them that they never consider moving on, and they are just happy to stay where they are. I'm going to speak to a couple of my relatives today, ask them questions about Scotland. The first being my Aunt Tina, who spent a few years living down in England. You then have her husband, my Uncle Derek, who has spent all his life living in Scotland. And then my Uncle Chris, who comes from South Africa, spent the majority of his life there and moved up to Scotland around 10 years ago. So I'm interested to see what they have to say about Scotland. Now I'm going to be asking them a series of questions about Scotland. So, number one, what do you like about Scotland?
I like the scenery.
I think the question should be what you don't like about Scotland.
The scenery.
The mountains.
There is a lot of equality.
The patter.
And the castles, the history.
It's a country that's very good for families and bringing up children.
And agro.
Number two, what would you say are the cons of living in Scotland?
The weather.
The only cons I can think of is the weather.
The weather.
Number three, use one word to sum up Scotland.
Humorous.
Character.
Contrary.
Number four, would you ever move away from Scotland and why?
Probably not. I feel very settled here now and a nice place to live.
Not really. I've got a son with a life-limiting chronic muscle disease, and the NHS is excellent for that, for his treatment, for his support. The only time I would think about moving away is if the weather finally gets to me.
Never. I used to live in Brighton and I miss the grass. I know that sounds daft, but I miss grass and there's plenty here.
Number five, what nationality would you consider yourself to be and why?
British, born in England, moved up here as a young child, but I consider myself British rather than one or the other.
It's a tough one because I'm from South Africa. I feel I spent the first 25 years of my life in South Africa, and a big part of me is South African, but I've spent 11 years in Scotland and a big part of me is also Scottish. If I had to choose, I would say I feel more Scottish than South African.
British, because the referendum made me very clear that I'm not just Scottish, I'm British. I don't want to be independent.
Number six, what would you say are the differences between Scottish people and people of other nationalities?
I think the Scottish people can come across as quite aggressive, although perhaps they're not actually aggressive, but they do have a way of saying things sometimes, and they do have a really good sense of humour. They seem to be able to find a joke in anything.
I would say the main differences are Scottish people are more humble and modest, less arrogant, if you like, a more sense of fairness amongst the people, more of a sense of justice.
When a Scottish person wakes up in the morning, they're on their mettle like no other people you're ever likely to encounter. They're ready.
More of a sense of equality amongst people, amongst minorities.
For a fight.
Number 7. What was it that made you want to move up to Scotland?
Moved away, went to Brighton, and we moved back to Scotland. We missed our families up here, and for what we could get, where we could live up here was so much better than where we could live down south.
And the reason we decided to stay and not go back to South Africa or a different country was because it was better for family, better to bring up children. The facilities, the community, the schools felt overall was better in nurturing children and bringing them up with good values and morals.
Number 8. If someone was thinking of moving to Scotland, what would your advice to them be?
Try and see the country, not, try and travel.
I would say it's overall it's one of the best countries to live in.
Bring a sun lamp and a brolly.
Number 9. What are your thoughts on the culture in Scotland?
The culture? What do you mean by culture? Are you talking about literature?
I think outwardly, like as I said before, I think perhaps it seems unfriendly, but actually people really do rally round, and there's quite a good community spirit, and people are very proud of the roots up here, and they like to stick to the traditions and
What parts of culture is?
It's a great culture, a very rich culture. It's full of history and tradition, and also it's very popular around the world. Fantastic.
The people are more friendly than me.
Number 10. How would you describe the character of Scotland?
multifaceted and quite colourful.
The character of Scotland is very strong, very proud, a lot of heart. I would say the people are very proud here to be Scottish, to be called Scottish, but at the same time very humble as well.
People are very passionate. That's the thing, they're passionate, but it's tiddlywinks, dominoes, fat bar, drink. We're passionate about everything we get involved with.
So I think that went rather well, and quite happy with some of the responses I got, and they all seem to be quite positive about Scotland, but for different reasons. You had Chris, who saw it as an improvement from his home country. He saw it as an improvement of his life, a better place to raise a family and live a happier life. Derek saw it as his home, that he loved it, he would have missed it if he'd ever left. And then Tina saw it as a place with community, nicer people, things that I'd mentioned before. So I think all in all the opinions gathered there kind of back up the points that I made before. Wanting to move to improve your life, community being a defining aspect of Scottish culture, and being settled where you come from. However, my understanding of those points after speaking to Tina, Derek and Chris was unjust. This is a home for people, myself included, but more so it can be a safe haven for someone wanting to raise a family. A place where you're more free to do anything than any other country might allow you to. Even though I still want to leave Scotland, it's not because I hate it, it's because I just want to strive at what I'm aiming to do as a career. And I feel like I might be like Derek when I leave, where he misses the simple things like the amount of grass. Scotland has an imprint on me, it's part of who I am, and I hope that if the day comes when I leave, I don't forget where I come from, where my roots are, and I hold Scotland dear to me. Scotland can mean many different things to different people. For me, it's my home, and I'm proud to call myself Scottish.
Is that right, Evan? Is that what I'm supposed to say?